is where I was born and raised, but I've left there. I haven't lived in Chicago for over 22 years now. In this dream, I was visiting. It was warm out still. I was in like a fourth or fifth story apartment that was overlooking the lakefront and the skyline of Chicago. I was trying to take a picture of the skyline on my cell phone to post it on Facebook, of all places. And so I was doing this with my phone, and to my left, I saw sailboats that were docked, and I saw a man who was tending to his sail. He was, tying his sail down on his boat, and next thing I know, I hear this like rumbling sound, this vibrating sound that was making the windows vibrate. And it was starting to kind of shake the building almost. And the first thought that came to my mind was that it was an earthquake that was happening. And next thing I know, I look up the shoreline and I see these massive load of cars coming. First, they were like unmarked utility vehicles, like the white vans that you all see. Well, these were like unmarked commercial vehicles, like unmarked utility vans. And they were in the hundreds, and they were driving up like the shoreline. In fact, this is where the rumbling sound was coming from. And it was hundreds of them. And right behind these unmarked utility vans were stainless steel 18-wheelers, like hundreds and hundreds of them. And it was really weird because they were like driving up the shoreline, and in some instances, some of the vehicles were like almost in the water driving. And they stopped where the docked boats were, the Ked in the sky. And when the vehicle stopped, these people jumped out. And the people that jumped out were military forces. And you know how they jump out and they have like these automatic assault rifles. They have night vision goggles, and they have like flashlights mounted on their gear. And I mean, they just jump out of these vehicles, and the first thing they go to is these two people on the shoreline, and they just run over to this man and this kid, and they just arrest them. They seize them. Like, they don't say anything to them. They just seize these people. And when I saw that, I just knew automatically what was happening, and I dropped my head below the window. Because they started like showing their flashlights into people's windows, and I ducked below the window because these windows were like these two big, huge picture windows that I was looking out of. And I called to my son, and I was like, Josiah, I was like, come turn out the lights. I was telling him to turn the lights out. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is really happening. Like, I kept saying it over and over again. I was like, this is it. It's really happening. It's really happening now. In fact, it was so real to me that when I woke up, I was surprised because it felt that real. So when I woke up, it was 4:30 in the morning. So anyhow, I ended up going back to sleep. It was like somebody just knocked me out. And I went right back to sleep. And it was like my dream picked up part 2. And I'm on the phone telling my mother about the dream that I had. And while I'm talking to her on the phone, I'm standing in front of my flat screen, my TV that's mounted on the wall. And there's this breaking news. And at the bottom of the screen, you see that it says like martial law has been declared. And once again, I see these soldiers in this like desert military uniform, the brown and the beige and tan or what have you. And this time I see all of these like Humvee military trucks and tanks going through the streets of the cities. So I come out of that dream, and the Lord, right before I open my eyes, He speaks to me and He says Psalm 36. Now, the tie-in to that, which is very interesting, is that a couple of days after that, I got a phone call from my mother to tell me about this dream she had. But it began with my mother and many other people being detained in this place, this like holding place or a holding detention center or something. And in the end, the dream pretty much ends with the people being taken off to be decapitated. Now, my mother told me that the Lord spoke to her and said it was showing what was going to be the end result of martial law,